Hello everyone, Roots here, and as promised, I am bringing you my initial impressions / mini review of the Dead Space 3 demo. As this is only a demo, we need to keep in mind that the finished game, which I believe comes out in about 3 weeks, could be slightly different. They do still have time to fix some bugs that may pop up during the demo. To quickly give you an idea of my past experience with the Dead Space franchise, I did play through the first Dead Space, really enjoyed it, really liked the sci-fi horror elements. I did not play through the second game, just something about that, I don't know if it seemed more action-oriented or whatever it was, something just put me off from that game, so I did not play the second one. I did catch up on the story, thinking that, I may need to know that for Dead Space 3, but apparently you don't really need to know. So the purpose of this video is not to give you a review of the game, because as I said, this is just a demo, but it's to give you my initial impressions and my feeling on how the final game is going to be. From what I've seen in this demo, I do believe wholeheartedly that Dead Space 3 is going to turn out to be a good, solid game. Now, whether or not it's for you may depend on the style of game you like and your past experiences with the Dead Space franchise. As I said, I did not play the second game because I felt once the horror elements had kind of worn off, there wasn't really anything else drawing me back to the game. Just as with the Resident Evil series, I really enjoyed those and thought they were at their best when they were slower paced horror games. When they became shooters and action and started doing like COD cutscenes and QuickTime events, that's where they lost me. This demo shows that Dead Space 3 is going to be very similar. The fear that we may have once felt towards the necromorphs has worn off. You're gonna get it's a horror shooter, basically. I feel that if you liked the other games, you're gonna like this one. If you had problems with them, you probably should steer clear of this. Okay, so down to the nuts and bolts. The demo gives you a chance to play in a short, about a half-hour version of the campaign. You can also play in the new co-op mode, which supposedly has different dialogue and a couple of different sections, or ways you go about handling areas. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to play in the co-op mode, either because of my internet connection or because it was shortly after this demo released, I couldn't get into any online games. What I did see in the demo did tell me a lot about what the finished product is probably going to be like. First off, the graphics. Just like all the other Dead Space games, they look pretty good. There are larger spanning set pieces and visually stunning backdrops, and the character models are good. Couple of little details in the environment, such as when Isaac's walking through the snow, you see the snow sort of pile around his feet, and he leaves footprints behind him that are slowly blown away by the snow. Keep in mind that as this was a demo, the developers were trying to put out their best images, so I can't imagine that the rest of the game would be any less than this, but that is always a possibility that not the entirety of the game looks this good. On the sound front, just like all the other ones, as with the graphics, the sound was very good. You'll hear every shriek, cry, and scream from necromorphs, victims, and yourself. So on to the controls. How does this one control? It's Dead Space. It controls exactly the way I remember Dead Space controlling. Keep in mind that if you are new to the Dead Space series, it may take a little while for you to get used to the controls. Dead Space does handle slightly differently than a lot of other games. Having said that, veterans are going to feel right at home in Dead Space 3. The controls are crisp, responsive, and they do exactly what you want them to do. There's just a lot you can do. As in the other games, your weapons have 2 forms of fire, a primary and a secondary. You're also managing med kits, stasis, which slows time, and other contraptions, both environmental and innate to Isaac's suit. Now let's talk a little bit about the gameplay. Overall, the gameplay was solid Dead Space gameplay, just like in the previous iterations. One thing that hit me early on that makes me a bit weary about the final product, walking along mere minutes into the game, I was hit with my first QuickTime event. In my opinion, QuickTime events pull you out of the action and they kill the immersion in the game. Hopefully this feature will be used sparingly in the final product and only at appropriate times. Overall, with my time playing the demo, I got a real sense that this game was going to be more action-oriented. While there are the typical necromorph jump scares, A lot of it is run and gun, attack by mobs, kill the horde. From this very short demo, it is kind of difficult to assess whether or not the final game will be very actiony, or if it is going to lean a little more towards the subtle horror, keeping in mind that in a demo, the developers have just a very short window to grab your attention and make you buy their game, or make you want to buy their game. I feel that such action-oriented demos tend to lean more towards the shooter crowd. And as that is a huge market, it is absolutely understandable that the developers would target such an audience. I know this is a really quick assessment of the demo, but in all honesty, there's not much that I experienced in the demo that I hadn't experienced in the previous games. One new feature that I saw that may have been in 2, and I may be ignorant because of my lack of experience with that game, there is weapon crafting. By finding and scavenging materials in the world, you can go to these tool benches and change out different components on your guns. Kind of like changing your stocks and your scopes and whatnot to give them different effects. Aside from the crafting, I really didn't find much here that was a great departure from the previous games though. And if that's going to be the case, I hope that they lean a little more towards the first game and try and incorporate some more of those horror elements. In all honesty, I do doubt that it will go this route though. Now I know I've kind of skimmed over a lot of this stuff, but really it's just a short demo, so it's tough to judge, but let me give you quickly my overall impressions and my predictions for the final game. First off, was this demo enough to make me want to go buy Dead Space 3? No. I did not see enough innovation or throwback to the original game to make me want to pick this one up. That being said, I do feel that if you were a fan of the other 2 games, you will like this one. Or if you have someone you can hop in with on co-op, I think this could be a really fun game. Though, I'm a little hesitant on the co-op because I feel that it will pull you out of the story just a little bit. Dead Space seems to be at its best when you feel alone and underpowered and scared, and I just don't see how that can happen in a co-op game. Again, I do not think Dead Space 3 will be a bad game, I just don't think it's the game for me. The graphics were very nice, the sound was good, the controls were tight. I just am afraid that it's going to be a bit too action-based for me. I think if you were looking for the throwback to the more horror-oriented first game, you're probably not going to get it. Alright guys, looks like I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. I think I've said pretty much everything about this demo. It was very short, it was very, I would say, one note, so there's not really a whole lot to cover. But if you like what you heard or saw here, do me a favor and tell a friend about it. Again, my name's Roots. Thanks for watching.